Hello, everybody. Thank you. Can you hear me? It's all right?
Yes.
Yes. What I'm going to tell you something today is Caliper. Let me control this slides. Yes. Okay. It's actually a website. This is a screenshot to the website. So in case you are curious and want to look around in the presentation, you will have the address at the bottom right corner throughout the presentation. Remember, this data are password protected, but you can use the credential Caliper, exactly the same name as the website, once or twice depending on the window. So you tap it once. Okay, I would like to give you today an idea for why this tool, this platform, what it does, how, very briefly, about what happens behind the scenes, and then some highlights about the functionalities. So it's about statistical data. Typically, it's data in a table format, something like this. And the questions all the time for everybody, statisticians or common users, is to interpret the data. So the data is the value in the column value to the right, but then it's what is this number, element codes, and what is actually crop or something. So what is in the data? Questions more specific for statisticians is actually what I can do with the data. So can I produce a larger table with more columns where with some like merge with other statistical information? As we should start with the question that just like words, codes are ambiguous. So Turkey, we know, can be a bird or a country. And also a number like 1079 happens to be a code, statistical, within some statistical classification for turkeys in CPC and manufacturing in another classification. So what?
Can I interrupt?
Yeah, sure.
Could you maybe turn off your video? We're having a little bit of breaking up with the audio.
Okay, so I will use my headset. A second. Was it clear until now? Is better now?
It sounds better, yeah. If you're breaking up, I'll let you know again, and maybe you can turn the video off to save the bandwidth. But yes, go ahead.
Okay, the video. I think okay. Now I'll better do it immediately if I find it here. Yeah. So imagine classification tables are something like this. Then you may wonder, but what this Annex 1 countries? What are the countries in this mentioned here, or on what group Albania is, for an example? These are standard questions that are usually answered, but usually might take a long time to answer. And the idea of Caliper is to help people addressing these questions. Correspondences. This is also a very common fundamental notion for statistics. So the correspondence, really the links between one classification and another via links between specific items in them. And what happens, I mean, this is a very common way to express them. You can see that it's only by pairs. And so it's FCL here on one side, CPC, 2 classifications. And there is a lot of information missing out of all that we have. So what Caliper is an aggregator of resources that is very much oriented to web publication and access, has human users and machine users in mind, and it's all based on semantic technologies and open standards. So what it does, if you go to a Caliper website, you can browse and search, and you'll something like this, a browsing interface for where you can find all information about a specific object. Here, this is a country. You can see the formation also aggregated. There's a code in AgriVoc, and this here it's already a hint about the orientation to web to the web world. And correspondences like this. So what I said here, you'll see them all together. You can also go and search across all data set of correspondences by setting the source and the target of a classification. And that was for humans. So if you're interested in looking up, browsing around and searching. For machines, you can download classifications in different formats. These are all screenshots from the website. You can easily go and test yourself. There is a service like through like all classifications in Caliper are accessible through URLs. I won't give details about this, but the important thing is that if you want to build your application that retrieves always the latest codes from the web, you can use this type of service. This is a URL. We have endpoints, meaning like interfaces on the web that you can query, and you could go and do your tests. Everything is available for you in the website. And it's also possible to build APIs, that means interfaces on top of those endpoints. And we are testing this already. So the standard pattern of interaction with the APIs is this. There's a request sent to a web over the internet. It's an HTTP-like type of address with a request that is, and the answer of this is is the data you want in a format that is acceptable for the machine. How? Very basic. The fundamental notion about publishing data on the web, we go local tables in a database, for example, or spreadsheet, into an RDF model. That is triple base. So I want to pass you this message that in any table there are actually triples, many triples. Subject, serial, code is the property. This serial has a code 011 and a given classification. So what we do with Caliper, we recreate this very same information as a triple. This is the RDF notation. And we add, this is very important, we add a URI. That means for us is just a URL, something, a unique identifier for the web. And we keep adding information through this triple model, using this triple model, a specific information about which classification it belongs to, and other things, a label, the hierarchy, and again, important, matching to other classifications outside on the web. There, from our RDF data, we pass it to machines, applications of different types. And we get the different services you can access in the website. So browsing interface, the download files, or the SPARQL API, the endpoints. So I want to highlight that many standard components used in Caliper. So the whole data model is RDF, which is a W3C recommendation, is the consortium for web standards, W3C. The modeling inside for the classification comes from SCOS, which is again a recommendation from W3C. And if you are interested about this type of detail, the hierarchy, the names and labels, and notion of classification, they all come from there. And then we add on beyond SCOS, a specific resource for statistical classifications published by the Documentation Data Initiative. It's a very important institution for statistical data. Hierarchical levels, correspondences come from them. And the metadata model is also based on standard. It uses DCAT and void, both W3C recommendations. When it goes to tools, all tools are open source. I mentioned the names, you can look them up. Also, they are linked from the website. Cosmos for browsing, a triple store of the Apache family called Fuseki. Workbench is the tool that we use for editing. PMKI is like a read-only for people to explore. And also Drupal, the content management system, is open source. So I'd like also to say that Caliper implements recommendations from RDA, specifically from the Agrisemantics Working Group. Agrisemantics published like a number of high-level recommendations for addressing different roles and users working with agricultural data, with data in general. And I want to mention a few, the consistent, thorough use of global identifiers over the web, that all metadata is machine readable, including versioning and provenance information, that we pay special attention to addressing the needs of different users playing different roles in the production chain, so from editors to casual users, so like interested in looking up data, and the open source tools. Carrie, how much time do I have? Because we started a bit late. Hello?
We have, you have about 6 minutes. We're a few minutes behind.
Okay, 6 minutes, because I would also like to take questions if there are. But okay, just a hint about how to navigate the website. You can see all classifications available, all content, main menu classifications, and instructions on the page browse. This is the coverage. Correspondences. Okay, about this slide is very packed with information. I could say many things, but what I want to highlight to you is this last part in with S in gray, because here is where it goes with to the connection with outside resources. DBpedia, I think you all know, is the linked data version of Wikipedia. Agravoc is a large FAO resource, multilingual with over 30 languages, covering all topic of interest to FAO, agriculture, forestry, fisheries, and so on. And CPA is a classification for commodities by Eurostat. They are also doing something like similar to Caliper. So the possibility that we are want to the ultimate goal, something that we want to achieve, is the construction of a network of producers and users of classifications that we can exchange data, pass data from one another, ensuring that this data is interoperable, of course, so adopting standards, appropriate metadata, and so on. We are testing with Eurostat, possibly, hopefully, will be expanded with other. The little tab at the bottom is just for other people in the network. And the little computer to the left is to say that even like normal user, not institutional users, will profit from this, because they will be able to get the latest versions and services about the statistics. Okay, I will skip this because if there are questions about the model, we can go into this. I will skip this as well. And I insist on the fact that everything has appropriate metadata. In particular, we distinguish consistently between the intellectual content of a classification. So the FAO is the author of this classification, and the publisher, though Caliper is the publisher of this specific distribution. Bit of ongoing, we are busy finishing up the May 2020, so May this year, this month release for Caliper. And next, we are working, already working on more, we'll do more on the geographical part. And we're also always very interested in receiving feedback about visualization, for example, or coverage or anything else. Then my last slide is about credits. Pointer is the website, and there you can find much more. This concludes my presentation, and I thank you all for the attention.